Hello, Pastor Steve Waldron. Great to have you here with us today. Handy little Bible. Many of you love it. Some of you don't for various reasons. Anyhow, the Cyrus Ingerson Scofield Bible, the C.I. Scofield Bible. This is the King James Study Bible Reference Edition. And this is the one that is put out by Barber Publishing. And kind of what makes it unique, maybe among more than one thing, but maybe the biggest thing, is it includes the unabridged classic Rightly Dividing the Word of Truth. That was in, I think, it was in the 1909 edition, and then they took it out of the 1917 edition, the 1945 edition. Then, of course, the new Scofield in 1967 did not have that in there as well. So let's just take a look on the inside. It's got a little introduction. I like how it says, introduction, to be read. And another thing in that introduction that I like is the last paragraph in it, and it's a disavowalment of being original. And I think that's just a lot of good intellectual honesty, because basically what he's saying there is, look, he studied the Bible for many decades, and there's no telling where he's going to be getting stuff from. Now, before we go on to the rest of the Bible, C.I. Scofield, you really couldn't overestimate the impact it's had on American evangelicalism and even Pentecostalism. The circles I run in, N.A. Urshan, your J.T. Pews, these guys, it was pretty much everybody used a Scofield, and then they had a Thompson, and if you were really in the know, you had a Dake. That was back in the day. And if you were really, really in the know, you had a Ryrie. Okay, so this has the 96-page concordance, 42-page topical study for ease in tracing subjects and ideas throughout the Bible, 72-page reference to subjects, footnotes, proper names, Bible word definitions as a quick resource, 8 full-color maps, daily reading, Bible calendar, and this is the unabridged classic. And so who was C.I. Scofield? A lot of interesting information, but a lot, in my opinion, a lot of suppositions on the internet. So it was the first annotated work of its kind published in 1909. And that's, I'm not so sure, I think in a handheld way, but of course family Bibles were annotated for a long time. Scott, and Henry and all this. Scofield was decorated for valor at Antietam, and after the war served as a lawyer, state legislator, and U.S. attorney in Kansas, led to Christ by YMCA evangelist in 1879. Scofield turned his attention to the study and teaching of Scripture. In addition to writing, he served as minister in Texas and Massachusetts, founded the Central American Mission in 1890. He also, did he give rise? I know Darby, but like to the pre-trib rapture, he was just so big in that. But I think one reason people like the Scofield is he has enough notes to give you information, enough references, but not enough to overwhelm you, and the notes don't take over the Bible. Secondly, it's an Oxford print type from about 1900 to 1950. Oxford and Cambridge, and then like Ear and Spottiswoode and some others were having what I call just the best readable text types of the Bible in existence. And what I mean by that is there's just no ghosting to an appreciable amount. The print's very dark. He also had good subheadings, I wanted to say that. And he also had good chronologies, which I'm not seeing in this one. Their chronologies may start after Abraham. Let's see. No, I'm not seeing the chronologies in this. So maybe he came out with that in the 1917 edition, not the 1909 edition. And so it's just a readable Bible, but in a very compact size. And I'm going to guess it's around 8-point print, but a very readable 8-point print. Yeah, it looks like it's exactly 8-point print. And it's done by Barber Publishing, which Barber Publishing is a great publishing house out of Ehrlichsville, Ohio. And I'm trying to see what year they did it. I thought I looked before I did the video, couldn't find it. And I think that is true. So I don't see in here. Got a little introduction to the Pentateuch, but Barber Publishing just does a really good job. Here's what an introduction looks like. So you can see before you get into Genesis, so it gives a little introduction to the Pentateuch. And the introductions, again, are very informative, very conservative, which I think is important to a lot of people, but again, very unobtrusive. And I know for a while they were putting this out in like a beautiful bonded leather with a green box, kind of a unique green box with some accents. I don't know the current publication status of this. I just don't know. So let's see if there's something in between the Old and New Testament. So many times in study Bibles, people don't look there, and there ends up being a treasure trove of information there. Yeah, it's got at least some. Let's see how much. Well, just about a page and 2/3. But see, even that is great information. A lot of people don't really understand about what is called the silent years. And it was just the time from inspiration from Malachi to the New Testament, spanning about 400 years. But a lot went on, giving the background of the New Testament and a lot of fulfillment, like of Daniel and some things, in the between the Testaments. It's just pretty interesting. So let's go to the New Testament. Let's see if it's red letter. Yeah, it is. And interestingly enough, when this Bible was first printed in 1909, the red letter by Louis Klopsch had just started in 1898. The first whole Bible in 1900. I've done a couple of reviews of little New Testaments I found from 1898, maybe a 1900 whole Bible too. Just happened to find them like cheap on eBay, like for $8 or $10, really good shape. It's like, I don't think they knew this was the first red letter New Testament or something. Now, the Scofield's also, besides annotations at the bottom, is going to have a lot at the back as well. So let's get to the back. And the red letter is just about perfect. I mean, you couldn't get any better red letter. It doesn't look, it's uneven. It looks very readable red letter. Let's see if it's red letter in Revelation. A lot of you care about that because you tell me you do. And it is. Some of the Cambridges are not. So this is the index to the Bible. So this is like a subject index. You look up what subject, it's going to tell you where to look at in the Bible. That's going to be different than a concordance, which is the word's going to actually have to appear in the Bible. Now, I don't think this guy is Smithsonian. We're fixing to check on that, and then we'll get back to the items in the back. I appreciate Sister Waldron zooming in and out. But it is laying flat in Genesis. Probably is not decorative headbands, tailbands, nice white color headband. Index of proper names. Well, see, that's another fascinating study. Like you go to Genesis 24, and it's obvious, like Eleazar, the helper. This is massive typology. The father sending the helper for the son, the bride for the son. Abraham sending Eleazar to get Rachel for Isaac. And so there's just this typology that a lot of times you miss without knowing the proper. I mean, God named everybody for reasons and let them be named for reasons. Forever, O Lord, thy word was settled in heaven. He knew what they were going to be named. A lot of times people in biblical studies and biblical criticism kind of forget that, the omniscience of God. And here's the amazing topical study of the Bible. And so that's a really important part in this edition, rightly dividing the word of truth. Because that's where most biblical error comes from, is people don't rightly divide the word of truth. So this is just really good. And then gargantuan concordance. You can see it's just filled. But again, you can get Scofield's, like there's still, I think, local church Bible publishing and church Bible publishing are still printing just New Testaments, or were till recently with Scofield. They both print what's called the Classic Study Bible, I think, something like that is really just the Scofield Study Bible. Maybe both of them, at least local church does, prints a Scofield without the notes that you can write your own notes in. And that's pretty cool too. And so they're making them just still premium. And Oxford's still printing them, but not this one. They're not printing this one. And here's the big rightly dividing the word of truth section. That again, till it was reprinted. Now, they used to print it in a separate booklet, but people really like that particular place. So you can tell it's just packed, not just with annotations and commentary notes and introductions and references and wonderful, like an outline of with the paragraph headers and dividers and all that, but stuff in the back, it's just got a lot. Let's see back here of the maps. I wonder where these maps came from. Does it tell me? Famous Bible passages. See, it's got all that stuff in here too. It doesn't. The reason I ask is because World Bible Publishing maps, which World, unfortunately, is no longer in existence. They looked like Oxford Bible maps. There's something to be said sometimes for Oxford Bible maps. They're kind of understated, but they're really cool. Moody Bible Atlas, to me, is still the best one, unless you get into these big, like coffee table ones, like Biblica and all that make. So the King James Study Bible, it's really an old Scofield Study Bible. And for years, the 1917, 1945 were always known as the Old Scofield Study Bible. Really, the 1909 is the Old Scofield Study Bible. Let's see, it's about 8.5 inches tall, which obviously is not very big at all. Just letting you know how handy this thing is. If I remember the leather ones, and I think I've probably done a review on the leather one. It's been years. You'd have to search the channel. Just hit New Life, and then it'll give you like a magnifying glass for search, and then hit Scofield, and it should bring up everything we've ever done on Scofield. And so let's see, that's about 5 3/4 wide, and then the breadth is about 1.45. It doesn't look like it's quite 1.5 inches. So valuable study tool. And again, a lot of people have come up with all kinds of theories of Scofield being financed by certain groups to have American foreign policy go into the creation of the state of Israel and all these kind of things. You know, I've watched some videos on that. I've tried to follow it, but there's just leaps, you know, like, okay, he went someplace and he belonged to the same gym, had a gym membership the same place as some wealthy New York financiers or something. I'm like, I mean, that means nothing. Absolutely nothing. He may never have known them. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. I'm not giving a total explanation of it here. Let's get back on the study Bible. Good one. You may want to get it. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you greatly in Jesus' name.